Hi, I'm Sonya White Jaguar. Welcome to White Jaguar Weekend Read, my weekly audiobook series. Let's continue with my free book, Writing Alan Rickman's Autobiography, a fan fiction romance. Chapter 14, Alan's Advice. Alan and I continued our conversation about romance writing on the plane to New York after takeoff. He said, "You know I'm not a mainstream kind of person. I'm usually looking for an alternative view. It's not a comfortable position to be in, but that's where I am. That's where my passion is. I can't help it. It's the artist in me. I'm not telling you what to write. You have to follow your intuition. The most important thing is to write for yourself first. Otherwise, you'll lose momentum and end up with an unfinished book. And if you force yourself to complete it, readers can tell when the author got bored because the middle of the story is difficult to get through. We've all read those kinds of books and given up halfway through." I nodded. In retrospect, I could see that my later novels had turned out that way. I'll always respect Alan for what he said next. "I believe it's important for women to speak their mind and reveal what they're going through. This is an auspicious time to be a woman writer. People want to hear your perspective. It matters to all of us. For a healthy society to thrive, everyone's voice must be heard. That's why I wanted to do A Little Chaos. Stories about women's experiences have a place. I'd love to see you write about the woman's story." While Alan's respect for women was obvious to me, I wasn't sold on the idea of writing about being a woman. There were plenty of women writers already doing that. "Well," I said, "I think I'd find that too confining as well. The woman's story that gets the most attention centers on what one feminist writer has summed up as partners and parenting. After reading that, I started calling it P&P. Countless magazine articles, books, and advice columns are dedicated to P&P. We've all seen the classic clickbait. Do these 5 things to turn on a man, or dress this way to attract a man. P&P is big business. You're made to feel you're not a real woman unless you marry and have children. Some women, on the other hand, see no purpose for a man in their life other than to be a living, breathing dildo. They're clearly pushing back on traditional female roles in society, and they can come across as snobbish and disdainful of men. I don't belong in either camp, so where does that leave me? Since I didn't marry and have children, what do I have to contribute to the conversation? You see what I mean?" Alan smiled warmly as he clasped my hands and said softly, "I know how you feel. You're concerned you'll be criticized because you don't represent the expected viewpoint. I can relate. I've told you before that one of the hardest parts of being a public figure is the criticism. It comes at you from everywhere, even the oddest places you'd never expect. Believe it or not, throughout my life, I've been criticized for not having children. There must be something wrong, the criticism goes, and they dissect you to try to diagnose and fix the problem, as if you're a car engine or something like that in need of repair. The choices I've made are not up for debate, and I don't need fixing. I imagine you feel the same way about decisions you've made." "Yes," I agreed. "My life choices aren't up for debate either." Alan continued, "I recommend that you develop your own message about being a woman. Don't worry about what other women are saying. That doesn't concern you. They're working out what it means to be a woman in today's world like you are. They're just going about it differently. You have friends who will support and guide you, including me. Your unique perspective will open doors, not close them. Don't chase the latest trends. Trends come and go. In my experience, the most powerful thing you can do is to be yourself. Be authentic. Be as truthful about your emotional experience as you can be. I know it's difficult, but that's what sets great writing apart from the mediocre. You may not like what other writers are saying out there, but they are being true to themselves. They're being authentic. Know there will be criticism. It comes with the territory. Just remember your reasons for writing and what you're trying to achieve. And remember that you don't have to defend your position. You'll find your audience, and you'll be satisfied that you helped other women understand themselves who are trying to find their place in this crazy world like you. Then the criticism, when it bites you, won't sting as badly." Alan was helping me see a higher perspective. Looking out the airplane window for a moment, I gazed down between the breaks in the clouds and studied the green hills 30,000 feet below. The view reminded me of the dream I'd had during my first night with Alan, when I was flying among the clouds like a bird. Maybe that dream was prophetic, in more ways than one. Join me next week for Chapter 15, Pouring into the Chalice. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, so you'll be notified when the next video is posted. You can also sign up for my newsletter on my website, sonyawhitejaguar.com, and get notified that way. I send out newsletters twice a month. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next week.